After off. Dan had a little trouble with climb there, but otherwise they're neck and neck. A little bit of sync, actually. As you can see, today we're playing on the English version, not the Japanese version. And the Japanese version is very nice as it saves 3 minutes over the English version, but we're not going to get that today.
It looks like burgers are now going to miss right here. Just slightly ahead of Krunchylex. Alright, and React gets the upgrade. Now at this point, React's going to be heading on to fight the first boss of the game, which is called Arachnus. Now Arachnus is a pretty straightforward boss. You basically just want to unload as many missiles into him as possible. But occasionally, if your RNG is unfavorable, Arachnus will actually do a roll and he'll be invulnerable for a few seconds. So our runner's going to hope for having no rolls, but if they do, they're going to lose a bit of time. So hopefully that won't happen. But before our runners get there, they're going to have to deal with the eye doors. We'll see a lot of eye doors throughout this game, and they're basically enemies that block you from getting into a boss's room. They can either open their eyes to be vulnerable, or they can shoot beams at you. And they can shoot between 0 to 4 beams in every round. Now this early on in the game, it takes 3 missiles to kill an eye door. So if our runners get bad luck, they can have up to 12 beam shots fired at them. Now, what our runner's probably going to try to do here is a trick called double missile, where you land 2 missiles on the enemy in the same frame, and that way they don't have to put up with as many rounds. See, Krunchylex starts to set up there, does not get it quite.
Yeah, yes, doubles are very helpful and can speed up the later bosses a lot. They'll be used a lot with 90% of the bosses.
Yeah, it's not just eye doors you'll use them on, you'll also be using them on the core X's, and we'll be seeing that at the end of this boss fight as well. Looks like both runners got a roll there.
As you can see, they also try to double the cores. Crunchy missed the doubles, unfortunately, but React got the initial one.
Alright, and now each of our runners has the Morph Ball upgrade, which they're going to use to go through a few small little tunnels they couldn't get into before and just get to a few new areas here, but mainly they're going to want to head to the next sector, or I guess I should say the first sector of the game, Sector 1. And missile management is going to be critically important in this first sector because they don't have a whole lot of missiles, and they only are guaranteed missile drops from enemies if they have full health. So if they don't have full health, they may or may not get a missile drop. So you definitely want to keep yourself at full health, and you want to make sure you have enough missiles. Now, because of some of the RNG in Sector 1, you may see our runners grab what's called the main deck missile, just to give them a few more missiles to deal with Sector 1, and we can see it looks like React will be getting that missile. So again, getting that missile will be very helpful for getting through Sector 1 because it gives you way more missiles to go through with, and it reduces your chances of the RNG really messing you up.
Yes, and Crunchy grabbed it as well. So hopefully no problems with missiles will occur between the two.
And there's Sax stares at the screen menacingly. And for some reason decides to shoot that door with a super missile even though it was wide open. Alright, and now it looks like React will be entering Sector 1. Does have to put up with a little bit of a text box at the beginning here, though.
Fortunately, we have to deal with these text boxes quite a bit. Every time we enter a sector, every time we just go back into a sector.
And a few wonderful spots in between. So although our runners may not want to put up with it, they do have to be careful with their tech smashing because they could easily lose seconds over their opponent if they're not careful. So you definitely don't want to lose a race because you're tech smashing. Now another reason why missile management is so harsh in the sector is because these stabilizers they have to deal with take missiles as well. And so you're going to see them have to waste those until they get charge beam just to deal with these stabilizers quickly.
Country now has full missiles. Makes some nice drops, and that's a pretty nice strat to get through that Hornode room.
Yeah, the only real downside about that strat is that if you end up, it's faster, but if you do exhaust like 5 missiles, I believe, for doing it, so you want to make sure you're consistent at it because you don't want to mess it up and get hit or something. But with main deck missile, they're not going to have to worry about their missiles too bad. Looks like we see React leaving the stabilizer room as Crunchy enters it, so not too far behind him right now. And of course, we see that React has full health going through the shaft, so he's guaranteed a missile drop from all these enemies that he kills.
Crunchy had a green X drop. He accidentally fell, but was able to get 2 green X's from that pirate there.
Looks like we see React is not opting to go for the double setup here. We'll see if Crunchy goes for it. Looks like he is going for it. Does not get it, but gets no beams anyway. And now Crunchy is ahead of React. Alright, it looks like Crunchy is going to be the first one to get the Charge Me upgrade, with React not far behind. Now, early game is very volatile because of some of the RNG parts, so there's a very good chance this lead could still flip back and forth for a good while.
And as you can see them use it, the charge beam is very, very overpowered in this game. And they'll be using a lot more of the missiles for now, as it does a ton more damage. The charge beam is made of 3 parts, the top and bottom of the main beam, and a flare that comes around Samus's arm cannon. And this does a little bit of extra damage. So all in all, with all parts connecting, it does 26 damage over the 10 that your missiles do currently. So it's very nice to use.
Yeah, we may still see them use missiles a little bit because there's a few areas where you may want to shoot cancel or not be able to fire a charge shot, so... And a few spots where, of course, there's multiple enemies that you have to deal with really quickly, so... We'll still see some missile usage here and there. But our runner's going to have a much easier time dealing with having low missiles now. One thing I want to comment on is that we see that React's leaving with more health than Crunchy right now, and hopefully this won't be an issue, but there is a small chance this could cause problems in the next sector, because Sector 2 has a lot of high damaging enemies, and you generally want to have full health when you're going in there, but if everything goes perfectly, you won't get hit. But if you do get hit, the most common enemy in the sector does 45 damage on contact. So you definitely want to be able to tank multiple hits there. Like right here, React could actually tank 4 hits from the enemies with his health, but Crunchy could not. So again, if everything goes perfectly, this won't be a problem for either runner, but slight mess up here or there can definitely add up over time. Sector 2 is definitely the most dangerous sector early on.
Sector 2, it looks so small, but it's actually incredibly huge.
Yeah, I think Sector 2 is the most hidden tiles, maybe. Lower Sector 4 may have more, I don't know. But Sector 2 has a lot of hidden tiles in it, and you're gonna go off the beaten path pretty quickly. Which is pretty appropriate considering they're gonna be getting the bombs upgrade here. And now bombs and fusion are a lot more limited than the other games. You can't infinite bomb jump or anything like that. But you can still use them to break open blocks that you couldn't open before. So they're going to get a lot of usage out of that. Even if it doesn't help them get to any new areas easily other than that, it's still useful. So now Crunchy can actually tank the same number of hits as... Ooh, he's having a bit of trouble getting up that shaft, and now it looks like a React shot a little bit ahead of him. Ooh, and he does get hit too.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate of Crunchy, and just like that, we're almost even again.
Luckily, Crunchy gets no problems going through that room right there, and is still right behind React. And like I said, there's a good chance this lead will definitely swap back and forth a lot for the first half hour of the run or so.
Ooh, Crunchy accidentally getting hit again by an enemy. Just be very careful, as it is quite a bit of a distance before he can get away to heal himself completely.
Looks like React and Crunchy both got a bad pattern in this room. It's definitely not something you want to have happen there. But a lot of these areas past here, you can get some really rough patterns to deal with on these enemies. So Crunchy didn't get quite as favorable of a first pattern, got a more favorable one than on the second pattern than React did.
Both runners made it through the affectionately called pancake room perfectly fine. Crunchy's still a little bit low in health, but there's an E-tank up ahead that he'll most likely take that will heal himself with.
Yeah, and at this point, they're both pretty much home free. The enemies at this point are pretty harmless, and they're generally not in your way either. And you see React grab the E-tank that Phazon was talking about there. And now React's going to be entering the Zazabi boss fight.
Zazabi is a very interesting boss. He is able to jump around between 1 and 4 times for each round that you take, and optimally you want 3 rounds. So in a single boss fight, he can waste between 3 and 12 jumps.
And if you don't do enough damage on these phases, he'll just start the phase over again, so you definitely want to be careful. Looks like React gets through all the phases just fine, though. And he gets the first double even. Can he get the second one? No. Not a good spot for the X there, so he wasn't able to get that second pattern. Oh, but Crunchy does not do enough damage in the last phase. Now, the last phase actually has more health than the other phases, so it's a bit more annoying to deal with. And similarly, Crunchy gets 1 double and does not get the first one in this case. So wasn't quite able to gain any time over React there.
Now both runners are gonna have to wait out Sax a bit. Hopefully none of them taunt him, as has happened before and has killed a runner before. But no, both are playing it safe, the correct way, and just waiting for SAX to open the door and then jump down.
Alright, and React has now left the sector with Crunchy following very closely behind.
With that, Dan now enters Sector 4, the only sector to have the door on the left side. Crunchy not far behind.
So Sector 4 is a lot of fun. There's a ton of water everywhere, and it's all filled with electricity. So our runners are going to have to make sure that they don't get hit by that too much, but they will have to take a dive every once in a while to actually save time here. The main goal of Sector 4 is just to get to the Ceres boss fight fairly event-free. However, there are quite a few fun rooms to go through here, and seeing how they go through these rooms and how effectively they go through them is going to definitely be fun to watch. Now, you may react making that jump actually required him to do a small trick called a jump extend. Now, jump extends are just simply where when you're in midair from a jump, you can sort of fire a shot in midair to extend your horizontal distance a little bit. So just doing that jump rawly, you normally wouldn't be able to make it, but we saw Crunchy as well as React use the jump extend to actually make that jump. And there's a lot of little things like that you'll see them use throughout the sector just to speed up every movement. The good news about this area too is that a lot of these rooms, while there are some RNG patterns to deal with, a lot of the rooms are fairly similar every time you go through them, so you don't really have a huge impact of RNG compromising your movement.
Crunchy accidentally not wall jumping and falling through those crumble blocks. A little bit of a time waste there.
Alright, and looks like React's going to be the first one at the boss fight here. Now, he wants to kill this boss in 2 hits. If you hit with every component of the charge beam, you do 26 damage, and this boss only has 50 health. So if they hit him right, they'll hit him with all 3 parts twice. But if they do it wrong, then they have to do it more than twice. Luckily, React manages to land both shots on him flawlessly, and now he just has to finish off the Core X.
Does not manage to get any doubles so far. He has one more chance.
Well, 2 more chances, but...
Oh, 2 more.
Alright, looks like he wasn't able to do it, so we'll see if Krunchylex does a bit better on that department. Unfortunately, Ceres is not being nice to him right now. And Ceres' pattern he picks is random, but once he picks the pattern, you know what he's going to do. Luckily, Crunchy was able to react to that, but Ceres can give you some really not fun patterns to deal with. Alright, looks like Crunchy was able to get 2 doubles on there, so definitely probably made up a good bit of that time loss from Ceres not being nice.
And with that, Dan has successfully lowered the water, and is now going to go for a trick called the low height.
Yeah, we actually already saw low height after our runners defeated Ceres, but this one's a lot harder because they have to time it right as they land. They basically want to do a Shine Spark right before they land, so they're basically flat against the ground. Versus the one they had to do after Ceres, there was a low ceiling above them where they could just mash A and they'd be forced to spark at that height. Right here, you don't have that luxury, so you have to make sure that you do it the right way, or else you end up not being able to get it. Looks like Crunchy does get it though, so that'll definitely help catch him up to React a little bit too.
that Dan will now leave Sector 4 and head to Sector 3, with Crunchy ending the navigation text right now. We're about to.
Have to watch a little bit of an animation here with Adam showing him where he needs to go in Sector 3, even though he doesn't actually show a map of it. But nonetheless, React's going to be going on his way and working to get the Super Missile upgrade. Super Missiles make your missiles do a bit more damage, in fact 30 if I remember correctly. And they actually do have another side effect, which is it increases the cooldown between each missile shot, and it also makes your missiles accelerate faster. The unfortunate downside of this is that it makes it so that you're going to have a harder time actually getting doubles on later bosses. And every missile upgrade increases your cooldown and accelerates faster, so each missile upgrade they get is going to make doubles just a little bit harder.
React unfortunately missing that shine break there, which would allow him to shine spark instead of climbing up this ladder. He's supposed to pick up the missile tank Bob, the only unskippable missile tank of this game, without doing some highly advanced tricks.
And he's right about to get the Super Missile upgrade, and he'll be getting it in this next room. Oh, looks like Crunchy was able to get the shine break though, so he managed to spark up that shaft instead of having to climb up that ladder. That definitely saved a bit of time. So really all these little things are helping him catch up to React inch by inch. Oh, looks like Crunchy misses up the Shine Spark store there. So wasn't able to get Data Spark. And React is going to be starting the box fight. Now the goal of box is to kill him as closely to the right side as possible. And the reason you do that is because instead of having a Corex to fight, box just jumps and runs away. And so you want to make sure he's really close to the right side so that way you don't have to worry about luring him around.
Yeah, unfortunately Dan React missed the first few hits on the box to make him start jumping, so he walked a bit before jumping around, which wasted some time. But had a pretty
having a bit of trouble with his fight.
And yes, that's actually insane. Crunchy had a little bit of trouble as well.
The tough part about the box fight is you have to line up where you're shooting your missiles perfectly. And if you don't, ooh.
He's playing safe a little bit using the charge room here, as there's a barrier on Sector 6, the next sector they have to go to, that takes 3 super missiles to kill. And prefer not to use the super missiles right now. Yeah, now he only has 2, so he'll have to do the backup Shine Spark method.
Really unfortunate Sector 3 end there for Crunchy. It's definitely going to allow React to gain a little bit on his lead here, but as I said, we're still very early on in the run, and there's plenty of time to be saved between here and the end. Now, as PK mentioned, at the start of this next sector, we're going to see React over here shoot down a barrier with just his super missiles, whereas Crunchy is going to have to either do a Shine Spark trick or pick up a missile pack to deal with this barrier. So we'll see which option Crunchy opts to go for. And now we're about to see React go through the Sector 6 text box and officially start his run through there.
Another thing that's a little concerning is that Crunchy has not amazing health, while Dan and React has a full E-tank. Now there are these blue X's you can see right now on React's screen that do 69 damage, and you can easily get swarmed by a few rooms with them. So if Crunchy's not careful, he could take a few hits here and potentially die.
Alright, and React gets through the barrier just fine and is going to be going on to the next few rooms. And now, like PK mentioned, we can see React here can actually take a couple of hits, whereas Crunchy can only take one hit from an Ice X. Now, Ice X's can be stunned by your beam or missiles, so it's really easy to keep them out of your way. There's a few spots, and there's actually one in particular that is really annoying to deal with. We see React actually get by it there, but that one's a bit off screen when it first shows up, so you kind of have to shoot it while it's off screen. And if you're not careful, you can miss it, and then you get whacked.
So Crunchy's opted to pick up this missile tank here instead of on the way out, which I don't know how much time it would save her the Shine Spark, but he now had enough missiles to go through the barrier. And on Dan's side, he's about to encounter the SAX. But Crunchy made it through fine. Accidentally in morphine, so he didn't get the bomb down during the item pickup.
Now we saw React on his screen already get through this SAX encounter, but we'll see Krunchylex do something similar here, where he just lets the XAS's power bomb go off, and then he tries to get it to jump towards him by shooting it while it's facing the other way. Now React's going to be starting the Mega Core X fight here, and the Mega Core X fight is a bit of an annoying fight to deal with. If you do it properly, you'll jump up and hit him with your fully charged charge beam and all the parts of it, and the fight will be done in 4 hits. And now, ideally, the boss fight will always come in the same way, and if you get the setup at the start right, it will. But if you mess it up ever so slightly, then it will start to move off screen and come in from different ways, which we actually saw happen to React there. And now here you can sort of see what we're talking about with doubles becoming a lot harder to do now they've already gotten 1 missile upgrade.
With that, Dan now has the Various suit, which is an extremely ugly looking suit in my opinion. While Crunchy starts the fight.
Alright, not the perfect setup there, but luckily the setup Crunchy gets does work out favorably for him. Now he wants to get out of that water because the water pretty much makes it impossible to go for doubles, so he needs to get out of there quickly. Alright, looks like he gets 1 double at the end there, nice. Now, unfortunately, leaving Sector 6, enemy patterns can be quite annoying to deal with. And so we're going to see React and Crunchy here are going to have to deal with a few annoying enemy patterns. Specifically, those blue and purple enemies called Puffers. Puffers, when you run into them, or when you shoot at them and don't kill them, or even if you kill them, really, they'll actually shoot this purple gas at you, and it has a really wide area. So you want to be careful with that, because if you get hit by it, well, you're going to get slowed down.
Luckily, Crunchy remembered that he collected that missile and does not have to collect it again, so he will also be going to the nav room right as React is being shown the Sector 5.
At this point, our runner is going to be getting the next missile upgrade, which is called Ice Missiles, and Ice Missiles are not the best upgrade in the game for missiles, unfortunately. Whenever you get them, your missiles change to where they freeze every enemy on first hit, which is nice because it lets you deal with some enemies that can't get one hit easier. But at the same time, any enemies that previously got one hit will now be frozen first. So our runners are going to have to deal with that a little bit. And of course, like all the other upgrades, your missiles will now have a greater cooldown, and they're going to accelerate faster. Right, looks like React's gonna be the first one in the security room here, with Krunchylex not too far behind. And again, these two are actually keeping it fairly close with each other right now. See about how far Krunchylex is behind right here. Alright, looks like Krunchylex is about 17 seconds behind, which is definitely an easy gap to clear here, so we'll see if React can maintain his lead here or if it's going to widen.
Yeah, and React had a little trouble in that shaft a little while ago, so really helped Crunchy catch up, and React's actually a little low on health for the upcoming section.
Yeah, Krunchylex, like I just mentioned it, Krunchylex is now like a couple of seconds behind him, so I mean, I said it was not an easy lead it was not a hard lead to really catch up on. Yeah, if their timers are accurate, then Krunchylex is probably like a second behind React at most, and now he may be a little bit ahead even. Almost in sync right now.
Yeah, that's some very nice sync going.
These waiver patterns can be a little bit annoying to deal with when you're leaving, as the best way to kill them right now is charge beam, and so you don't want to have to deal with too many of them. And you especially don't want to deal with one more than once. As the Crunchy gets through there okay, and now he's going to be moving on to the emergency section. which has a little bit of fun chat participation here. Feel free to type emergency in Frank or Z as much as you want to. But for this whole section, our runner's going to have a fun timer to go against, and they're going to be trying to stop the whole building from exploding.
So we're given 60 minutes, but we really don't need much more than about a minute and a half of this.
So the emergency section is decently difficult whenever it comes to moving around here flawlessly. It's not an easy section to go through. So you'll see runners, like the runners will actually be able to use the timer to judge how well they're doing. So instead of using it to judge how far away you are from the sector exploding, you can sort of see how well you did throughout the area. Ooh, now one thing to mention here is that React does not have a whole lot of missiles, and you use a ton of them throughout this area. So React, if he doesn't get any missile drops, he's gonna have to sub in using his charge beam in a few spots, or just using different strats. And this isn't helped by the fact either that he has lower health, so he's not gonna be able to get full health here and guarantee missile drops every time.
Crunchy accidentally messing up the freeze of the stretchy and falling, but manages to recover from that.
Right, looks like React's emergency was about 13 seconds slower than Crunchy's there in game time. So losing a bit of time on that. Looks like Crunchy got a little bit of help from the stretchy there, helping him get the damage boost through to that crumble block. Right, we'll see. Ooh, Crunchy falls down a little bit there, losing a bit of time in this climb. Climbing up the stretchy shaft is not easy, and doing it quickly is even harder. So you definitely want to be careful, but at the same time, you also want to go fast, so you can very easily mess up in that area. Right, and now Crunchy is going to go save the animals here. Along the way, he's going to get to do a few fun tricks on his way up there. Now for this section of the game, all you're doing is just going to go to the main deck again, ride an elevator, and go through and get the animals out. And unfortunately, the animals do have a bit of RNG to them, so you can lose a bit of time depending on how the animals feel like treating you today. Now the first of these tricks that Crunchy's going to have to do is going to be the stretchy climb. And there's a few different ways to do this. There's one strat that's jokingly called Impossible Strat, that's the quickest way to do it, but is very difficult. And the other strat is to use a jump extend, and of course you can just climb up there the normal way as well. So we'll see which option Crunchy decides to go with here. Alright, looks like he does an hybrid. Looks like he tried to do Impossible Strat there. Instead, he's opting to do, and that's a strat I haven't seen before. It looks like he does a mixture of Impossible Strat and Jump Extend there. Krunchylex trying to set up for the Shine Break here. Does not get it. And I guess he just opts to go and don't think...
Oh,
right,
but
he gets... Oh no.
But he accidentally went sparks and bonks on before entering the room.
There was a react there almost going down the wrong side, which definitely would not have been good. Oh, but he does miss the Shine Spark store as well, so looks like both of our runners had to climb up here the old-fashioned way. See how React's Animals RNG goes here. Had a bit of trouble on the last two there, but the first three came out really fast. Looked like about average luck. Maybe a bit better.
Yeah, that's a little bit better than average.
Alright, and both our runners are now going to be heading back to Sector 5 to get the Power Bombs upgrade. They'll be using Power Bombs to, again, expose a few new areas they couldn't get to before, and to also clear out enemies in a few rooms. In Fusion, there's an excessive amount of Power Bomb expansions, but the 10 that you start with is more than enough, so we won't actually be seeing any of our runners pick up any Power Bomb expansions intentionally. Looks like both for runners, or looks like Crunchy opted to get the elevator missile there, and we'll see if React's going to get it as well. But now Crunchy should have 45 missiles, and if React grabs this missile, he will as well. Alright, React does opt to grab it, so now both runners are at 45 missiles, which will likely be the last missile they both pick up.
Crunchy going for a Shine Spark to save some time and is able to get it. I'll have to see if Dan React does the same thing.
So after they get the Power Bombs upgrade, they're going to have to deal with an SAX encounter. And this encounter can be really bad because if you get hit by too many beams, you will end up taking a lot of damage, if not possibly dying. Now, I don't think Reacts is worried about it, as Crunchy might be right now, but although Crunchy can still tank a hit or two, I believe. But if worst comes to worst, Crunchy may die here if he's not careful.
And Crunchy's got through it perfectly okay, and can get a little refill here from a Red X.
Confirming that Crunchy does indeed have 45 missiles here. Oh, tries to go for the Kadoom strat there, but shoots the missile the wrong way.
Damage
like
for the counter okay.
As well.
And of course, that I'm sure that moving shadow in the background doesn't mean anything ominous in the future.
We will see. But now that both of our runners have the power bombs upgrade, they're both going to have to go back and go fight Yakuza now. They're technically supposed to go to the ship first, but they're going to have an incident along the way and they have to take a detour. But after that, they'll be going to fight the Yakuza boss fight. Krunchylex is the first one to get to the elevator malfunction here, and he's going to be going in and watching Ridley completely frozen solid and falls apart. Much like PK mentioning that shadow earlier, I'm sure that won't be relevant later.
Not at all. There's nothing mysterious about that. Thankfully, Crunchy did not get screwed over by the spitters, as they're called, and
ooh,
that power bomb, I don't think he broke even the top block. He might have to place another power bomb.
Yeah, I don't believe he did, because usually you at least see it change color, and or change it to its destroyed state there. So Krunchylex ran into a bit of a problem with that room, and he needs to actually lay it. He's gonna have to lay a power bomb again, probably, whenever he goes back to that room, because he laid that one there to destroy the 2 blocks on the left. You'll probably see React destroy here. Yeah, and so Crunchy wasn't able to destroy them, I don't believe, so he's gonna have to go back in and lay another power bomb here. Oh, okay. It looks like Crunchy did destroy both those blocks.
Oh, but accidentally falls a little bit in the shaft. But recovers nicely with this shoot, jump, extends. Now Crunchy's about to start the Yakuza fight. Yakuza is a very interesting fight that also has some RNG element to it. At first, you'll see Crunchy jump up and shoot some missiles in the air, and this will allow you to damage him as he is able to be damaged during his initial attack. But he can now crawl around the room between 1 and 4 times before spitting fire again. So, as you see, Crunchy will jump into Yakuza's arms and wiggle around to try to manipulate it. Pretty good 2-round.
Right, he gets a few doubles there, nice. And now Crunchy has the space jump upgrade. Looks like React's not too far behind and it's about to start the Core X fight as well.
Yes, he was able to get a 1 round. Very good luck.
React unable to get any doubles there, unfortunately. So, he was not able to get all the doubles there. So, he's gonna lose a bit of time over Crunchy.
As Crunchy makes his way through this little SAX encounter, he's on his way to fight the Netherite boss, which is the main reason that we see between 40 and 45 missile runs, and occasionally 50 as React has, as this boss takes a lot of hits to finally kill, and the more missiles you have, the more time you save over it. But also, the more missiles you grab, the more time you lose to the item screen in fanfare.
Yeah, so I believe the truly perfect count is 35 or 40, but grabbing those counts can cause a lot of other issues throughout the run, so we'll see each of our runners here got 45 missiles instead, and this will actually help them out in this boss fight a lot. Now, the React's missile count, he actually shouldn't have to lay any charge beams, use any charge beams, or lay any power bombs, but with Crunchlex's count, he's going to have to do that a few times in order to make up for missiles he doesn't have. And another important thing to note is that if you take no damage in the fight, you can actually just farm off the drops that the boss drops. But if you take damage during the fight, you may actually want to save a few missiles here, so that way you don't have to rely on drops. As you can see there, if Crunchy didn't have any missiles, he would have been waiting a bit here.
I'm not sure if he is landing any doubles, or actually I don't know if he's even firing enough missiles for doubles. No, he's not.
He was unable to get any doubles. React having a bit of trouble getting out of that hole in the water there. Yeah, our runners do not have gravity suit yet, so going through water is still a bit of a pain. But I think React was able to get one double there, which is nice, so saving a bit of time over Crunchy with that.
With that, both runners now have the plasma beam, which changes how your beam works entirely, and your beam now does damage per frame as it's in each enemy. And this is great for normal enemies, of course, but for the next few bosses, it's very poor, as there are very small hitboxes, and your beam will only last for just a few frames inside each hitbox before dissipating.
So the next boss fight they have to deal with can be a bit of a nightmare. But what they're going to have to go through.
I see what you did there. But yes, as Nexion was saying, they need to head to Sector 5 and figure out what has just destroyed the entirety of Sector 5.
Luckily, this is the last time our runners will have to go to Sector 5, which has definitely been the most visited sector by far. The very start here, we're actually going to see their runners try and do a little bit of Shine Spark trick that they can hopefully get. We'll see Krunchylex go for it once he gets through with his text box here. And now, because of all the damage done to Sector 5, a lot of rooms have been destroyed or wrecked. And because of that, there is a long chain of rooms you have to go through that have been completely destroyed, and all of their doors are open. So we're actually going to be able to see a very long shine spark here at the very beginning, going through multiple rooms. I believe Crunchy did get it. Alright, nice. So there's 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, 4 rooms, and ending halfway through this 5th room. So as you can see, a lot of rooms you had to shine spark through there. And unfortunately, we gotta deal with some water physics here. Looks like React gets a spark as well. These water physics can be really annoying to deal with because of them being water physics, and because these pirate enemies can be really fast and do a good chunk of damage. But it looks like Crunchy makes it through there error-free, and it looks like React is going to be right behind him. Frank Crunchy has finished off the first 2 phases of the Nightmare fight and is now going on to the last phase here for the Core X. Managed to land just enough missiles in there so that Nightmare goes into his red phase and sets it up good, perfect, nice. Great fight by Crunchy. Now all he has to do is finish off the Core X here. Gets the first double. Not sure. I believe he did get that second.
That might have been a double.
That was definitely a double. Nice. So Crunchy was actually able to get 2 doubles in that fight.
With the React now manipulates Nightmare around, get in a pretty good position. Pretty good fight by React as well.
See if he gets any more doubles. Does not quite get the first one. May have gotten that second one. We'll see.
I am not sure.
Did not get that second one, unfortunately. Alright, looks like React was unable to get any doubles in that boss fight, unfortunately, so he's going to lose a bit of time to Crunchy because of that. And speaking of, Crunchy is now in Lower Sector 4. Now, Lower Sector 4 is a pretty dangerous area because of all the enemies, and they do a good chunk of damage. So Crunchy's going to have to be watchful of his health here to make sure he doesn't take too much damage. Now, luckily, the boss fight after this is fairly easy, so taking a lot of damage is definitely not an end-all be-all, but Crunchy still does not want to take a whole lot of damage. Alright, and looks like Crunchy's just about to be out of here. He has to go through a couple more rooms, and he'll be getting the diffusion missile upgrade. Crunchy has no problems getting through that barrier, and now is going to be climbing up this long shaft with Space Jump.
Now, once again with that missile upgrade, with the diffusion missiles, the cooldown between the missiles increases and they travel faster, so landing doubles is even harder now. Yet, for all this, diffusion missiles are rather useless. You only use them only a few times, and otherwise, there's really no main use for them.
Now, looks like Crunchy will be heading on to Sector 6 with React not far behind. Now, health-wise, it looks like React is just a little bit behind Crunchy, but not by a notable amount. Now, luckily, before this boss fight, there is a room with a lot of ice X's that they can use to heal up a little bit. And this boss isn't exactly the most damaging one in the game, so if everything goes smoothly, our runners definitely shouldn't have to worry about dying here. The main problem with this boss fight is just doing it quickly. And unfortunately, that is a lot easier said than done. Alright, Crunchy's a few rooms away now, so we're going to be talking about the next boss fight, which is the Xbox. The Xbox is similar to the first boss fight, except instead of it jumping up at you and laying out fire pillars, it will jump up at you and shoot missiles at you. Now, these missiles are easily swatted away, unlike the first attack in the first fight. They just need to simply shoot them and they'll be gone. However, the fight's a little bit different in that it's harder to avoid the jumps from the Xbox, and they're also going to have to be more precise in their spacing with the missile shots. So it'll be interesting to see how each of these fights goes based on how the first box fight, they had a bit of trouble with it, so we'll see if this fight goes better than that one. Now, unlike the last fight, where they lure this boss fight to doesn't really matter because there's going to be a core X at the end of this fight, and it looks like Crunchy's fight goes pretty much perfect.
Yeah, that was a really good fight for Crunchy. Let's see how he does with the core. Now, doubles on this core are practically impossible since, along with the missiles having to be on the same frame, the positioning is also frame perfect because of the small space of this room. It was a pretty decent core fight from Crunchy.
Warning, no entry without authorization.
React may have wasted a few extra missiles there, but he can afford to. He's got a lot of extra ones. Unfortunately, his fight may last a little bit longer than Crunchy's here. He has to go an extra round there. Still finishes off the fight easily, though.
As we continue on Crunchy's side, he suddenly found a random restricted laboratory full of Metroids.
And it is about to blow up.
Oh, jumps to the door, gets the nice line of Metroids there. Always a fun thing to see.
Now, space jumping up this shaft can be a little annoying because the Metroids like to get in your way. But, so it looks like Crunchy lost a little bit of time there because he missed a space jump, and the Metroids didn't do him any favors on the way down either, so losing a bit of time there, but not too much, only about 3 seconds. Generally, you want to get through that countdown with 55 seconds on the clock if you do everything perfectly. But now Crunchy is going to the next boss fight, which is going to be the first of the last 3. Also known as the Xbox fight. Or sorry, not the Xbox fight, the Ridley fight. Now in this next room, we're actually going to get to see the diffusion missiles used a little bit. And Crunchy will actually be using them to get rid of some blocks that you would normally have to shoot 3 missiles at to destroy. And instead he's just going to do that and have no problems dealing with it.
As you can see here, Crunchy is shooting these spitters to spawn in some golden pirates. Now you can usually only shoot these golden pirates in the back, but there's an interesting programming quirk where if you aim at them and fire your beam and immediately turn around, since you're facing the opposite way that the golden pirate is, the game thinks you have shot it in the back.
Yeah, so the game doesn't actually check where the beam is hitting them. It just checks which direction Samus is facing. And since beams aren't instantaneous, you can just shoot one at him and turn around really quickly. And the game will just assume that you shot him in the back.
A nice zero beam from Crunchy. Now he starts the fight. Now, Ridley's a good fight, but it's also like the loudest sounding thing in the video game ever. Just love and listen to those lovely screeches.
Alright, and Crunchy's now finished with the boss fight. Let's see if he can get any doubles here.
Dan had a little bit more trouble than Crunchy with those gold pirates there, but makes the room perfectly fine.
Was not quite able to get any doubles, but getting doubles in that boss fight is very difficult with all the missile upgrades they now have. It's like they're React and not getting good beam luck here. Got 3 beams on that, unfortunately. So he's gonna lose a bit of time to RNG there. Oh, and React gets grabbed. Not what you want to have happen in this boss fight. If Ridley grabs you, he can do a lot of damage, and sometimes he doesn't want to let go. Oh no.
Yes. Dan's very low on health now, so he should be very careful. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, React taking the death there. And I don't believe he saved anywhere.
Yeah, I want to say he saved the ship, but I actually think that was Crunchy who we saw save the ship. So really unfortunate for React. Takes a death there, and if I'm remembering right, we'll see if he opts to restart here, but it doesn't look like he's going to. Alright, looks like he does restart. So at this point, if Crunchy dies, React will have a bit of an edge here. Oh, but he forgets. Whenever you take that ship save, you actually don't take it after you have the conversation with Adam. And that enemy doesn't move until you have the conversation with Adam. So he has to actually go back up in here and re-talk to Adam again.
But now Crunchy is in the longest text of the game. I'm gonna go take a little nap while this is going on.
Alright, looks like React is starting up the Yakuza fight again here. While Crunchy is still waiting for Adam to get done talking. But luckily he's on the last text box, so he should be done pretty soon. Right, and React gets through the first phase. And Krunchylex is on his way to finish off the last two bosses of the game. See if React can get any doubles here. Alright, looks like you got the last one. Nice. So at this point, it's going to depend on whether or not Crunchy dies to SAX or Omega. If he makes it through both of those bosses, he's going to be home free. See if Crunchy is aware or not of what happened to React. He may opt to save here. Looks like he is opting to save. So now, even if he dies, he's still going to be pretty far ahead of React. Alright, and it looks like React is starting the SAX encounter at the same time that Crunchy's going to be starting the SAX boss fight.
Going for the diagonal is still unlocked. And is able to nail it. See how he does with phase 2.
Propulsion sequence activated. Destination, planet MR388.
Now Crunchy's in the escape sequence, having to head his way towards the shift. React, unfortunately, not getting any missile drops for that first attempt at the Plasma Eye core.
But he does get a double-double, so as long as he lands his last missile shot, alright, he's in the clear. See if Crunchy gets the ending low height here. Ooh, does not get it, and accidentally does a bit of a diagonal spark there.
To destination.
Crunchy gets stun lock on the Omega Metroid, and that he is done.
Crunchy will be taking first place in his tournament race. Congratulations, Krunchylex, for taking home the win here. Right, we have Krunchylex with us right now.
Do we?
Congratulations, man.
Yes,
you.
congrats.
That was a roller coaster, let me tell you.
So, were you aware of what had happened to React at the end?
No, I don't usually like watching streamer chat while I'm racing, so I can just focus on my run.
Alright, we saw you save at Sax, and we weren't sure if you were just doing that to be safe or if you did it because you had seen that React had died.
Did you see what happened in my last race? I've been practicing sax for 2 hours today, but I still didn't want. I wanted to take the chance because I figured even if it was coming down to the end there, it wasn't going to. I didn't think saving was going to cost me, even if we were neck to neck. So I said I'd rather be a little bit safer and just be ready for sax. And that's the best sax fight I've ever had in a run, so I can't complain about that.
Sounds about right. Save for the fight, have best fight ever. Don't save. Sax doesn't behave at all.
I mean I was 55 seconds behind after screw attack, and I finished 25 seconds behind. So I saved 30 seconds in the run, and I got a 10-second gold. That was a really good. That final split was really good for me.
Oh, and now we have React in here. I'm sorry about your death, React. It was a good race, though, for both of you.
I made a lot of mistakes, but I was on PB pace for a while, and then I made I got screwed over in Sector 5 by that, with the crab, and then it completely messed me up, and I wasted like literally 20 seconds in one room. Died because, yeah, obviously I got grabbed because I jumped too high by accident there.
Yes, it was very unfortunate to see that happen. You guys were neck and neck for quite a while.
So I guess the next question is, Crunchy, you're going to be facing off against the winner of Sophia and Boxmeister. Do you have any plans to prep for that match?
Yeah, I mean, I've been practicing trouble spots, and it seems that every time I get better at one, another one just kind of starts tapering off. So I've got to work on some of my bosses and to just make sure my movement stays sharp, because I was dropping a lot of shot cancels. I was getting a little bit messy in spots, and then just messing up doubles missiles that I shouldn't have been messing up. So I just got to make sure to stay sharp, I think, and just practice box one and keep practicing sacks to get the ice doubles on it more consistent.
Alright, so React, you are unfortunately now eliminated from the tournament. So what do you plan on doing with Fusion from now on?
I'll probably take a little break, but then I'll keep practicing. I think I just really need to work on double missiling because I waste so much time there. And then overall just consistency, because I make a lot of mistakes and they add up. Just say doubling and just keep practicing the runs, keep doing runs, and I'll get the time down, because I mean I felt like I had a really bad run there, and for a while I was still on PB pace, or actually getting close to it. Like I was plus like 50 at one point and got down to like plus 15. So I know I can beat that time if I just get a good run in.
Alright, well again, congratulations both runners. Y'all did well. Even unfortunate death by React. Y'all still did well to make it this far in the tournament.
Yeah, GG React. Sorry that happened to you there.
Good race, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Alright, so our next set of Fusion races we have are going to be on Monday right now, and at Monday on 3 p.m. there will be a race between Mickey Now and Mandatobi. And then at 7:30 there'll be a race between Paulsmore and Rezarin.
Ooh, that should be a good one.
So hoping to see you guys at those races as well. And on Speed Gaming, one second here. For the rest of the day, we have quite a few things going on. And the next big thing that's going to be starting is going to be a Sonic Adventure Battle. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Race that's going to be happening at 9:30. And then we have A Link to the Past Key Sandy that's going to be on Speed Gaming starting at 10. Then at 11 on Speed Gaming 2, there will be a Mega Man 2 race. And at the same time on Speed Gaming 3, there'll be a Shantae race as well. Alright, so thank you guys for watching.
Dang. I've seen a 51. The meme is dead. Excuse me.
Okay, well...
How is that a 51? How the heck is that a... I don't even know. This game just likes to mess with my head.
Alright, well...
Sorry about that.
It's alright.
Alright, well, thank you everyone for watching. I think now we're going to go ahead and get off here, and we will see you guys at the next Metroid Fusion race. See you next time.
Thanks for watching, everybody.